You're listening to the BBM Global Network with 25 years in broadcast audio and video production. Our passionate team creates content and marketing for the world of Internet Talk Radio. If you've got a passion, come join us at bbmglobalnetwork.com. The BBM Global Network. Your voice is now heard.
Angelscapes is your direct connection to finding your soul's power and wisdom. Hosts Nancy Smith and Mary D'Alba are here in this interactive show that will explore the tools and steps you can take to create peace, calm, and confidence in your life. So please welcome your hosts of Angelscapes, Nancy and Mary.
Are you shitting on yourself? And are you living life as it should be, but you feel discontent and you feel a disconnect in your life? Today we're going to talk about building a relationship with your soul. And do you know what that means to build a relationship with your soul, or even where your soul is? And tonight I'm going to talk about realigning yourself with your soul and the power that you can have. With that, we're going to talk about the 5 languages of your soul so you can recognize when your soul is communicating and connecting with you. We're going to talk about what your soul's journey through space and time is about, because our souls kind of started way before we did. And then that, which leads us to the beautiful conversation of what are your Akashic Records, those pesky Akashic Records that people keep talking about and nobody knows what they mean. So I'm here. Welcome to Angelscapes, and I am Nancy Smith, your host, and I'm here with Mary D'Alba. And welcome to Angelscapes.
Hey, everyone. So in this episode, we're going to talk to Nancy, which is so exciting. I get to lead a little bit tonight. We're going to talk about soul's journey and Akashic Records. And let me tell you a little bit more about Nancy. If you don't know a lot about her yet, Nancy Smith helps clients listen to the voice of their soul so they can make creatively inspired choices. She's an Akashic Records spirit guide and acclaimed author. And Nancy Smith understands the emotions we are experiencing and is dedicating her talent to helping others. As a spiritual mentor, Nancy helps her clients learn to listen to the voice of their souls so that they can make creative, inspired choices in their lives. I think we all want to do that, Nancy. So good that you do that for us. She offers transformational intensives to facilitate spiritual growth in her clients, which we're going to talk about one coming up tonight. And as a result, her clients are able to recognize what they want, claim their inner gifts and talents, and then co-create a life that brings fulfillment and joy. Nancy works from their soul's Akashic Records and connects with their spiritual team for life guidance and healing. In a session with Nancy, you will learn how your soul's journey is connected directly to you right now. Nancy is a nationally known certified medium, spirit artist, author, and teacher. She is a Nautilus Silver Medal Award winner for her book, Divine Love Affair, An Akashic Journey. And this award was for science, cosmology, and expanding conscious awareness. The book is available on Amazon. Go buy it. It's fantastic. We are living through a truly unprecedented moment in human history, says Nancy. Many of us are experiencing a level of fear and anxiety that we have never faced before. Through this podcast and accompanying Akashic Spiritual Guide course, her goal is to provide her clients with the comfort and compassion to help them through these difficult times. She can also help you unlock your soul's power so that you can make the best decisions for your future. Nancy, as a trained spiritualist, tradition of mediumship, offers connections to loved ones in spirit. As she connects to those loved ones in spirit, she draws their images. It's a really cool way to get a mediumship reading. Nancy offers Akashic mediumship, spirit art readings, and soul sessions. After sessions with Nancy, her clients say they feel peace and grace from the presence of spirit to help them through their grief process. So welcome, Nancy.
Thank you. Thank you. It's amazing to listen to somebody talk about me. Mary, that's lovely.
Yes. Look at all the great work that you do. It's amazing. So Nancy, for people who are listening to us tonight and they're not really sure about what it means, soul inspired living. Like we hear that term or something similar kind of thrown about, and you have a very specific meaning for that. So I know people would love to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, soul inspired living. It kind of reminds me of that Disney movie that came out that called Soul. You got to have soul. But what the soul, how I view it, is you are your inner intuition or your inner self or your inner guidance is coming forward, and that is what's leading you, as opposed to what you should be doing. Like I started with the show, are you shooting on yourself, or are you allowing your spirit and your soul to really speak to you and lead you out of the box that you're in into some different choices and some different kinds of relationships with your work, with yourself, with the people around you. So your soul is a gentle, loving, a very pervasive energy. It's your higher self. And gotta kind of be quiet and listen to it. But yeah.
So do you think, one of the things that I think coming from that is like for people to come talk to you or to have a moment of clarity, they need to, but they're in a soul type of crisis, like a soul crisis.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah. So what are some examples of that? Because terms we hear, but we're not really sure what it means.
Yeah, well, soul crisis to me is your life's not working. Like a relationship ends, a divorce, or a significant partner has gone away, and now you have to reset your clock. You have to reset your life yourself. That's a soul crisis, because but it's also an appointment with your soul that says, okay, you've done that work now. You've gone through all that. And now it's time for you to kind of move on to something else. Your soul is still with you. But maybe where that pathway and that relationship was taking you wasn't the best place for you. So that's why I say a soul crisis, where your life's turned upside down. Other ways can be, I don't know, career transitions, where we end a job or a career ends right in front of us. I had that happen to me once in 2011. It all blew up in my face, and kind of there was no more career. But what I learned is that my soul, my life, in order to really have my soul be the best that it can be in the lifetime that it created with me together, I had to stop my career. I had to move on and do something else, that kind of thing. Empty nest syndromes, retirement, your health can change. Addictions, you can have an addiction that becomes unbearable. That's a soul crisis. A loss of death, a loved one or a parent. And the pandemic, I really feel, is a huge soul crisis for humanity. That kind of thing.
Yeah. So it sounds like it's one of those things that when you come out of it, like it happens to you and you go, okay, I'm searching for something. Like I feel this void, right? I know when I got divorced, I had this feeling of like, I need to search, I need to find something. So I think like the soul crisis that you were talking about, it's one of those changes that maybe you're prepared for or not prepared for, but it's something that your usual, that you've always kind of gone on autopilot for, is gone. So, yeah. So why do you think that happens? Like, why would we, why can't we just cruise along, Nancy? Why can't we just go along in life?
I know. I just want to do that.
Right?
Please. I know it. And I want to have brownies and lemonade every night for dinner and just not, you know what I mean?
Yes. Totally.
But what happens is that a lot of times we feel like we're put upon, or we feel like life is punishing us, or we feel, this contentment that I had is gone, and now I'm not safe anymore. I'm scared, or whatever. And that's really your soul. You before you were born, you made an appointment with your soul that said, if ever I forget to go on my path, this will happen, or I will be reminded that I need to remember about such and such. So that's what I call a soul, kind of a soul thing. And why can't we just sit back? Because you think of we're going to talk a little bit about the soul's journey. Our soul created us before we were born. And our souls had, if you believe in past lives, our soul has had many, many lifetimes, and our soul has designed this particular personality that we are, and this particular set of circumstances to become, have skill levels, and to become a certain level, and to become a piece of the puzzle in humanity to do a certain job. Now, if we just decide we don't want to I don't want to do that job, that's just too hard, or I really would rather be here in my world, we don't show up for all of those other people who are in human form, or animals, or nature, or plants, to do what we were meant to do. And so they showed up, but we did not. So we didn't make our soul appointment. And so it's really important to listen.
Yeah, I think that it's that thing that we all feel like we can do and we want to do, but we're scared to do. And yeah, so I think some of this is, if I'm right, and you tell me, but like your soul finally goes, all right, you've messed around over there enough. Like you've had enough time over there. Now you're coming back to what your true purpose is, right?
Yeah, exactly. I just want to tell you a story about an example. It's just like about working in sacred space, working in that soul space, which is sacred space. So this woman, she's very generous woman, and she's came to me to have, but she was really disappointed about her life. She's trying to manage it, and she said she had a wonderful life, but she couldn't overcome her feeling of resentment. And she was firm about, I'm not giving in to this. I'm not going to give in to this resentment. I'm not going to feel this bad. I'm going to rise above it and feel good. And she kind of sugarcoat stuff. Even still, she was not enjoying her life, no matter how much she did it. So we opened up Sacred Healing Space to unpack these suppressed emotions, trying to figure out what on earth that was about. And we can talk a little bit more about what that is, how I do it, and how we do it together with the client. But it's a prayerful mental place that is surrounded by your sacred spiritual team, and you bring your emotions out, and you just allow your emotions to hang out hairy with them. But you're surrounded with this protection and this care and this love, and as she did that, she was able to let her emotions literally expand and tell them why they were there, what their messages were, and what they were telling her about her life. Emotions are energies in motion, and when we're suppressing them, we don't get the message. It's not like we have to do whatever our emotions are telling us. So anyway, she unpacked these, and she realized that she had a habit of always being in service to others and didn't allow herself to relax and enjoy her family. And when she realized that she could try out a new behavior, she had great results, and her family relaxed around her. And then her family started to get to know her for who she really was, as opposed to mom's jumping up to get me another napkin. Mom was really there looking at me in the eye and telling me about this amazing thing she did with her life. And she was just, I'm able to be more present in the moment, she said, after we did this work. And she has clarity. She has a stronger focus on what joy is, fulfillment is for her. And she's much happier, and she's showing up more for her family, for her children and her grandchildren, and giving them a really powerful lesson of feminine and motherhood and grandmotherhood. And it's wonderful. I mean, it's wonderful. A family structure has shifted. And that's kind of a little bit about, just showing up for yourself and how that could be. So
that's awesome. I think we're going to come back and talk more with Nancy about soul and the Akashic Records readings and intensives that are coming up in September. But if you want to call in, we're at 866-451-1451. Stay with us.
What if there were a super tiny device that could diagnose the brain and is smaller than a single human hair? What if you could see inside the brain to help an epilepsy patient during surgery, or to help the fight against Parkinson's disease? Dr. Patricia Broderick is proud to announce the Broderick Probe, a biomedical and electronic breakthrough. Imagine a probe to help with the understanding and potential cure of brain-related diseases. To learn more, listen live to the Easy Sense radio show with host Dr. Broderick, Wednesdays 7 p.m. Eastern on the Bold Brave Media Network and TuneIn Radio. And to help support the Broderick Foundation, please go to EasySense.com and learn how, with your help, we can fight these horrific brain disorders. That's EasySense.com to learn more and help support the Broderick Foundation. Author, radio show host, and coach John M. Hawkins reveals strategies to help gain perspective, build confidence, find clarity, achieve goals. John M. Hawkins' new book, Coached to Greatness, Unlock Your Full Potential with Limitless Growth, published by iUniverse. Hawkins reveals strategies to help readers accomplish more. He believes the book can coach them to greatness. Hawkins says that the best athletes get to the top of their sport with the help of coaches, mentors, and others. He shares guidance that helps readers reflect on what motivates them, rediscover and assess their core values, philosophies, and competencies, find settings that allow them to be the most productive, and track their progress towards accomplishing goals. Listen to John Hawkins' My Strategy, Saturdays, 1 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network and TuneIn Radio.
Hey, welcome back to Angelscapes with me, Mary D'Alba, and our co-host and guest tonight, Nancy Smith. If you want to call in and ask Nancy some questions, you can reach us at 866-451-1451. You can also find her on her website at www.angelscapes.net. Make sure you look for .net. Also, you can find her on Facebook under Nancy Smith Angelscapes, and also her group Soul Power Living, Tools to Create a Life You Love and Want. So Nancy, I know we're going to talk about your Akashic Journey intensive program. We're going to get to that, but let's kind of back up a little bit and just talk some basics if we could. So what is soul? Like, what is the soul?
Oh, the soul is creative energy. It's really your creative energy. When you feel like you got, you're just going for it. You're hand in hand with your soul. And what our soul isn't, maybe this will help a little bit too, is the soul is not an ego construct. It's not meant to, it's not fear. It's not anger. It's not jealousy. Your ego construct is meant to hold your soul, not lead it. Sometimes we get that a little bit backwards where we feel like, what we are driven. Living a soul-led life is living a heart-centered life. But when we're in a driven life, a competitive life, I got to prove it life, we're in an ego construct. So what we need to do is take that ego construct, which is about surviving in the life, open it up a little bit and let our soul be what's in the bowl. The bowl is the humanity. I'm going too crazy with this.
No, you're good. You're good.
But your soul is that flow that happens. You get a really good idea, and it's just you're struggling it, and then all of a sudden it just clicks into place, and the flow happens. Whether you're running, or whether you're writing a poem, or whether you're just doing your money. The flow is your soul. It's your spirit, which is connected to that your soul, and it's interpreting what their higher power has, what the superconscious mind has for you, and it brings that into your mind and into your expression. And when you're in the right track, you're in that flow, you're in your soul's flow, you're in the right track to what you are meant to be doing. When you're in the wrong track, you're like kind of it's difficult, it's hard, you're struggling. You can learn to discern between your ego and your soul just through practice and observation of yourself, and you can learn to partner with your soul and your ego in a very different way that allows more creativity and more productivity to come through once you understand what the human design was meant to do, and you kind of get it, and then you can call it when your fears take over. You could say, oh, wait a minute. You can call those fears and say, I get it, you have something to tell me, but you're not in charge. Right. And that's soul work right there.
Yeah. So it sounds like for like a person who is just learning about spirituality, or someone who's not as familiar, the ego is that place where, like you said, there's fear, like they're driven off of, I'm not going to get that job, or I'm not going to get that raise, or I have to compete, or I have to look a certain way, or have to act a certain way. And your soul is more saying, you're lovely just the way you are. It's what is happening is the way it's meant to happen. Try your best, but if it doesn't happen that way, it's okay. So it's your soul has a more gentle and bigger picture where I feel like your ego is like, here's the situation you're in now, and you're kind of going into some blinders in some respects.
Yeah, your ego will constrict, and your soul will open up.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Totally. So does the soul have like a language, the way that you can communicate with it, like or to understand it? Like
right. Yeah. Well, I kind of wrote down, this is me, not the world. The 5 languages of the soul. How I know
Oh,
my soul is talking to me. How our souls talk to us. First language, part of the language understanding is reconnecting to my aware self, where you feel your own feelings and you find your inner voice and listen to it. You become your aware self. And when somebody's talking to me, as a student or a client, I'll say, well, what makes you happy? Just what are the small things? The favorite pair of socks, the best pillow, what, that tea in the morning or the coffee in the morning, what speaks to you? And as you build that awareness of what makes you feel good, or what brings a sense of well-being, you're on the right path to connecting to your soul. So reconnecting to aware self and your aware self and the well-being of your aware self. And then the next step is beginning to invite your soul more into your life by creating sacred space your spirit and soul and source can integrate and thrive in. And that sacred space is basically your mindset, your thoughts, your attitudes, and your willingness to be curious. And that's sacred space within you. And as you trust yourself, your sacred space will grow. And then the next language would be meet and connect with your spiritual team. Our soul is the spirit, the big spirit aspect, the big kahuna of ourselves. And we're not in this world by ourselves. We have a huge spiritual team of guides and guardian angels and bigger angels and ascended masters and just teachers of the spirit side. So when we connect to our soul, we can allow ourselves to be taught by this big spiritual team, and they have our backs. This helps you with the soul contracts. This helps you with clearing. It helps elevate your own personal self into your soul level. And then the 4th language I'm going on here, fuel yourself with divine grace of the creator, the source of energy and love and inspiration and creation. And what I mean by that is know what gas station's going to fill you up the best. And it's the inner drive and the competitiveness and the have to get this, and those goals are going to fill you only up to a point. And then if it doesn't work, you become exhausted and kind of debilitated, or I'm trying so hard and it's not working. Well, you're going to the wrong gas station. But with your soul, whereas you're blending in with filling that creative, it's divine unconditional love, basically learning how to let that flow through your life and fill you up, as opposed to the other stuff, criticism, self-criticism. And then the other part of your soul language is really being aware of your conscious inner team, which is another ego construct, which is all the different parts within yourself that have been building since you've been born. That is not your soul, but within those lessons and those little people that help us survive is a message of who we are as a personality. And when we understand who we are as a personality and what's talking to us with value and what's talking to us that has no value, we sort it through, and then our soul can come out more completely. Our spirit can express itself more completely because we're not letting fear drive us or anxiety drive us. And that kind of thing. So that's 5 places that in your life or my life where my soul can come forward and be the boss.
Yeah, that's lovely, because I think, we're sort of conditioned to, go by the rules, like certain rules, whether it's society rules, familiar rules, whatever. But it's like you go to school, and then once you're done with school, you go get a job, and then you get married, and then you have the house with the white picket fence, and you have a certain car, and that's what you do until you retire. And I think that's not that. While that's great for some people, I don't think that's great for everybody. And listening to your soul and becoming aware, and being aware of that programming and that voice, what the voice is, your voice of your soul, the voice of the unconscious inner team that kind of created you. I think that's really important. And it's probably a lot of the work you do with people to uncover like what the inner team is, what we've sort of allowed ourselves to do or be, right? When we're like, our soul is telling us this, but this is what we fit ourselves into. Like we talked about it being small. I'm curious to know some of the work that you've done that sort of like has touched on people realizing their inner team, their inner team that's doing things like,
Yeah,
Because it's fast.
yeah. I kind of have a story I think that will fit this a little bit. That inner team, sometimes we forget that we have a team that's higher, that has a highest and best, and we hook up to maybe a person, and that person becomes our lead, our lead team person. So I recently had a client that came to me because she was struggling to find meaning in her life. She's trying many different modalities, spiritual modalities. She had a big smorgasbord. She was also doing self-awareness work, and but none of them were making her happy. Nothing was coming together. And she questioned her life. And she's wondering what was wrong with her. She's at a loss. Like, why can't I? And she was also in a marriage that she felt very inadequate in. And so part of her self-awareness and her self search was to how can I feel good in my marriage and how can I make my marriage work? And in times like these, it could be challenging to know, what to do next. She was very much in a corner, painting herself in a corner. And I suggested that she allow me to teach her how to look inward and listen to her soul for answers, because your soul always knows. And she agreed. And so we worked together for 6 months. And during our time together, she learned to connect with her soul for guidance, for feelings. How do I really feel? She made that sacred space to go, well, how do I really feel about that? And let her emotions unpack them, just like I told you earlier in the story.
Yeah.
And she, after following the exercise to connect to her soul, she was delighted to feel a powerful presence within her. For the first time, she could feel this presence growing up, from that solar plexus up into her heart. It was lovely. And then she began to realize that the life she was living was actually hurting her at a level she never understood. And she finally realized that she was living in an abusive relationship. And that the feeling of inadequacy was directly connected to how she was being treated and how she was trying to, I guess the word would be codependent, trying to make that work. And the disconnect from life she was experiencing was because of the constant stress from this abuse. And so and then that opened up a whole nother pathway to her journey of how much did she love herself? How important was she? How important she had made her partner. And so she swapped out her partner with her guardian angel and her soul team. And it was a long path, but much happier woman.
Yeah. Oh, that's amazing. Because you think you're coming in for one thing, like you go to see someone, you're like, this is what I want to learn, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a minute, all this other stuff is now uncovered. So it's really amazing. Yeah. So I know when we come back, Nancy, we're going to talk about your Akashic Journey Intensive, which is coming up in September. So I know we're going to talk about that. But if you want to call in and chat with Nancy about any of this, the soul journey, the Akashic Records, and, if you have questions, you need clarification, you can reach us at 866-451-1451. Let us know your thoughts, because we would love to hear them. And there's some exciting things coming up at the end of September with the Akashic Journey Intensive. So we'll talk about that when we come back.
Be right back.
Did you know that your beliefs create your entire reality, but it's the subconscious beliefs that do most of the creating? Belief shifter and life coach Shiraz can help you identify those limiting beliefs and eliminate them, often in a single session.
Like, it was almost instant. Like, I had relief right away.
Creating better health, relationships, careers, and finances. Let Shiraz help you step out of safety and into awareness.
Definitely something's happening. It's like a flow inside. It feels good.
Whether in person or online, Shiraz provides personal coaching, belief shifting. Visit Shiraz at energeticmagic.com or call 416-529-7429. Energetic Magic on the BBM Global Network, Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern. Find your greater happiness. Be well. Be aware. Be magical.
Are you struggling to care for elderly parents or a spouse? Do you wonder if being a caregiver is making you sick? Are you worried about taking time off work to care for elderly parents and balance work, life, and caregiving? Has caregiving become exhausting and emotionally draining? Are you an aging adult who wants to remain independent, but you're not sure how? I'm Pamela D. Wilson. Join me for the Caring Generation radio show for caregivers and aging adults, Wednesday evenings, 6 Pacific, 7 Mountain, 8 Central, and 9 Eastern, where I answer these questions and share tips for managing stress, family relationships, health, well-being, and more. Podcasts and transcripts of the Caring Generation are on my website, PamelaDWilson.com, plus my caregiving library, online caregiver support programs, and programs for corporations interested in supporting working caregivers. Help, hope, and support for caregivers is here on the Caring Generation and PamelaDWilson.com.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Angelscapes. I'm Mary D'Alba, and I'm here with our guest and co-host Nancy Smith. We're talking about Akashic Records, the Soul Power Journey. We're going to talk about the Akashic Journey Intensive in a moment. I just want to say, if you want to listen to us later or past episodes, you can find us on boldbravemedia.com. And if you want to catch us on YouTube, we do have shows on there. Tonight, we may be streaming a little later or may show up a little bit later, but you can always find us there on YouTube on the boldbravemedia.tv. If you do want to chat with Nancy and ask her any questions, it's 866-451-1451. And also, just slight note, if you want to reach me, you can find me at marydalba.com. You can find me on Facebook under Mary D'Alba, Instagram, Mary D'Alba _medium. So, Nancy, I know that we want to talk about this intensive. Now, I know a little bit about this before we got on the air. It sounds amazing. Can you tell us about what you're planning starting September 25th?
I will. Now we've been talking about soul power living, and then we're all of a sudden inserting the word Akashic. Now, the Akashic energy is the energy of our soul. It's where our souls come from. It's the God energy, spirit energy. So it's an old Sanskrit word. Edgar Cayce used it. Helen Blavatsky used it, and so I'm just picking it up. It's a very cool concept for where our souls originate, where they come from. So my Akashic Journey Intensive is really about creating a relationship with your soul. And the intensive is designed, it's a 6-month intensive, and we meet long day, of pretty like 10 to 4, 10 to 3, something like that, long days, to go through different concepts around building a relationship with your soul, and also having your soul integrate into life. And the whole concept of that is, the word is integrate. That's the key word. But this intensive is designed to help you develop a strong and user-friendly relationship with the Creator and your soul. And I mean it truly, user-friendly, day-to-day stuff. You will learn techniques and protocols that will fill your spiritual toolbox that you could just pull out whenever you need. So you'll recognize what you have. You can learn to use things like soul contract work or inner dialogues, or you'll understand past life integration easily using your Akashic Records, which is the information that the Creator holds about your soul's journey. Everything, every place, every thought, every feeling, every creative from soul and from God is in the Akashic Records, within the Akashic energy. So we have access to all of it. And it's kind of fun when you find out what your soul's been doing when you weren't home. So I
love that.
So it's going to deepen the life that you're living right now, because you'll start to understand, oh, that's why I'm doing what I'm doing, or this is why I feel driven to be this way. You can, so again, 6 4 to 5 hour mini workshops. Well, they're probably more like workshops, and 2 1-hour private sessions, one-on-one with me.
Ooh.
And so it's a lot of hours that you'll be able to really learn this stuff that it will gently turn your life into a satisfying, soul-driven life. And so I don't know how far I should talk about what I'm offering to everyone who's listening to this radio show. And actually, for the month of September, I have a free 15-minute discovery session for people to ask me questions and talk about the soul, Akashic journey, and also the soul power mentorships. But what I'm going to do this month is just have free 15-minute Akashic sessions, where I will just go into your Akashic Records and read what's there for you. And then so you can get a taste of what that means, what that soul level work will mean for you. And then we'll talk about if this is a good fit this intensive could be a good fit. Some people have chosen to do intensives with me one-on-one, and some people really want to learn it with a group, because when we're working with a group, you have classmates that are exchanging. You're going with them on past lives. You're going with them on, I call it soul contract work.
Yeah.
And it's really kind of, actually, it's a lot of fun. It's deep work, but it's a lot of fun. So what you'll get in this intensive is designed to give you confidence for accessing your soul's journey, the Akashic Records, and you'll be able to access your soul's dream for your life now through in lots of different ways. Sometimes we think we should be able to just hear it clairaudient. We'll work with clairvoyant ways of hearing things, clairsentient, claircognizance. We'll really work with your intuitive skills so that you could hear your soul. We'll learn different levels of conscious awareness. And then we'll be able to make more conscious aware choices, how to see when you're in your unconscious self and not in your conscious self. You'll learn to sort that one out. And so I'm not in my aware self. I just automatically piloted a big fight with my brother. I had no intention of doing that. Why did I do that? Oh, let me think about it for a minute and let me apply some of these tools that I have. Your inner creativity will become more accessible to you. That's what a lot of people say when they've done this work. Their inner creativity will they'll see the value in it, and they'll see the fear that's keeping them from doing it. They'll be able to call it more clearly, more quickly, and then we'll have lots of tools for managing fear and disruption energy, and bring on the creative energy more forward. And past lives, we're going to definitely do past lives. I don't know how you cannot do past lives soul work. And the theme with past lives is integration. A lot of people, I don't use hypnosis. A lot of people can't do hypnosis or they're uncomfortable. I have 4 different ways of accessing past lives with people who are very enjoy it. And the key for this is what happens in between the lifetimes. What's the healing, and what are the gifts that each lifetime, your lifetime, can give to your past lifetime, and that lifetime is kind of a quantum exchange so that you can impact something, another person, your past life self, in space and time. I can talk about that for hours, but we won't do that.
Yes.
And then soul contract works. So past lives and soul contract work go together. So that's what we'll cover. It's a lot of stuff. And
so I'm someone who doesn't have a lot of, say, for example, I'm someone who doesn't have a lot of spiritual experience, right? I've heard about soul stuff. I've heard Akashic Records, but more of like, I've just heard it kind of in passing, or I listened to a podcast. So this to me sounds like, you can tell me, Nancy, if I'm on the right track. This to me sounds like I'm going to understand like what my soul is and what those feelings are, what my intuition is, how I receive intuition. Do I hear it? Do I see it? Do I feel it? Do I know it? How to trust that? Like, so if I go into a work situation, I'm sort of getting this nudge. That's my soul talking to me, right? So it sounds like there's a lot of practical. So we discover it for ourselves, but also practical application so that we can take it out into the quote real world. And sort of like integrate this into our lives, so we have this revelation about, who we are. And that sounds like it changes everything, right? It changes your interactions with people and your relationships and so on. Am I getting all that right? I just want to
Yeah, no, it's absolutely on spot on. And I know I put a lot of heavy stones in that intuition bucket, but in the intuition bucket is what I want people to understand is we have our psychic abilities, we have our clairs, our superpowers of perception, and what we're doing is connecting those superpowers of perceptions to your soul, to remember, to the right fuel, to the right gas station, right, and so when you have that super perceptive ability now on board, you're perceiving the higher power, you're perceiving grace, you're perceiving God. And superpowers, highly intuitive people, empaths, can also kind of go into the bad news, the scary radio station or the scary frequencies, and not have answers for those scary frequencies, so they want to shut it down. So what we're doing is going to that soul frequency that the soul knows. The soul knows. So when you have a crisis that comes, or you have a challenge that comes, you can use, access, and create with your soul level energy. So that's why I pull them together like a team.
Yeah, I like that because I think it gives you a one up on someone who's, I keep thinking about people in work situations or relationship situations. You go out, you listen to the podcast, you read the book, right? And you're like, okay, this applies to me. I'm going to use what that author has written for a million people, and that's what's going to apply to me. But what this does, what the intensive does, I think, is say, we're going to identify who you are and those things that are your strengths, your superpowers, right? And then when you read something or you listen to a podcast, you can go, oh yeah, okay, that kind of fits into my intuition, or that fits into my compassion for somebody, or wow, that's something that I didn't recognize before. So it's integrated into, it's not just a spiritual intensive, but it integrates into your life, and sort of gives you a one up on everyone who's just like, oh yeah, this is the way I'm going to go. And not that we're trying to be competitive. I don't mean it like that, but it opens up more for you, and seeing it in a different way and interacting with people differently. Talk about relationship change. Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Like it just,
it totally, changes it up. Yeah.
Yeah. When you understand the soul contracts. So the soul contract, can you explain a little bit about soul contracts? Because I think people are really curious about that too.
Yeah. Well, so a soul contract is basically something that you've agreed to that's kind of above your conscious awareness. It's maybe in the etherical plane. Doesn't necessarily mean that's your soul's path. It's just that maybe you agreed to it from ancestrally with your parents, mom and dad. Maybe you've agreed to it from past lives. A very typical one would be you were could have been a priest or a nun and took a vow of poverty 3-4 lifetimes ago.
Yeah.
And then now you're in this life, you can't hold on to money to save your life. And you have this really difficult relationship. So we would go in and find out what you agreed to and what you really want to agree to now. And we kind of upgrade or clear out what your soul is operating under. We remember I said we started the show, say, are you shooting on yourself? Oh, we come with
I love that.
The belief systems and the lists come from everywhere. They come from past lives. They come from parents. They come from ancestry. They come from the person next door. They come from, and every time we are in relationship with some of these sisters, lovers, mentors, teachers can give us another long list of stuff. And it's when you can kind of see the inspiration in the list and know what's yours and know what's not yours. That's your soul talking to you. And then you could let it, like I said, bubble it up from within and say, does this connect? Is this part of my puzzle piece, or is it not part of my puzzle piece?
Right.
So puzzle piece, yeah.
Yeah. So even if you have a soul contract, it's like, why don't you read the fine print on this? Can you change it? Are you done with that soul contract? Like, is the contract expired? Like, it's not just because like, oh, I have this amazing pull to somebody that I have to stay in that contract forever. I mean, your contract could be over, right?
Yeah. It's like so many times people have come married and they had contracts with each other. They've been married many, many lifetimes. And now this lifetime is for once and for all, can we get this straight? Right. And then until you can either take that soul contract and realize the marriage is done and the contract's done, or the contract's done and now we can be happy together. Thank you, Jesus. We're going on, that kind of thing. And I actually worked with a woman with that, where we cleared her soul contract and her marriage opened up for her. It was beautiful. Really, really beautiful.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. All right. So lots of reasons people should sign up for it. We'll talk about how people can do that when we come back. But again, if you'd like to call in, 866-451-1451. And if you want to listen to other episodes, you can at boldbravemedia.com/Angelscapes. We're all on all the podcast forum, places you can find us, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, all that kind of stuff. So, but we'll be back to tell you how to sign up for Nancy's Intensive and talk a little bit more.
The opiate epidemic has reached crisis levels, and with so many families affected by addiction, opiate-related drug overdoses, and death, the time is now to have a real constructive conversation about addiction that could lead to better prevention, treatment, and recovery. Alan Charles, author and keynote speaker on drug abuse and prevention, presents The Alan Charles Show. Alan brings a message of hope, sharing his unbelievable story of surviving a 24-year addiction to cocaine and highlights from his memoir, Walking Out the Other Side, an addict's journey from loneliness to life. His raw honesty and courageous heart breaks the stigma of addiction and offers a unique perspective into the mind of an addict. Join Alan each week as he brings his listeners to a true understanding of the grip of addiction. It is only with this understanding that we can begin to heal. The Alan Charles Show, Thursdays at 9 p.m. Eastern on the BBM Global Network. Have you ever felt like no one is listening, or you're not getting the honest attention you deserve? Do you even know the kind of attention you want or need? You are not alone. Alice Aspen March is here to help. Thanks to Alice, through her epiphany and research over the word attention, there are solutions to the attention dilemma. Worldwide audiences have been enthralled and engaged for over 40 years with her visionary and pioneering observations. The kind of attention we get and give is vital to improving our lives and society. Alice and her weekly guests review game-changing insights for transforming and improving our understanding of attention, providing techniques for creating healthier and empowering behavior. Get a new perspective on a mainstream word. Tune into Why Our Attention Matters for fresh and thought-provoking conversations every Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern on boldbravemedia.com and the TuneIn Radio app.
Welcome back to Angelscapes. I am your co-host, Mary D'Alba, and I'm here with Nancy Smith, who is host and guest tonight. So, Nancy, it's so exciting. I love it. So we were in our last segment talking about the Akashic Journey Intensive, which starts September 25th. Folks can get a free 15-minute consultation for the month of September to just see what they're going to experience, get a little taste of that, which is exciting. So how do people book these consultations with you?
Well, yeah, so you can go to angelscapes.net. That's my website, and you go book a session, and you'll see, if you scroll down there's a little green little bar that says discovery session, free discovery session. So just book that, and then I think there's a place where you could just write down who you are or what you're interested. Just say you heard me on the radio show, you're interested in the Akashic session, and we'll talk more. You can also, if you can't do that, just email me at nancy@angelscapes.net, and or message me through Facebook, Nancy at Angelscapes on Facebook, and ask me any of these questions, and I'll set you up with all the information that you need and that kind of thing. So
awesome.
Yeah.
So Nancy, I'm curious, like, you've done this work with folks, you've done intensives, and I'm curious if you have any examples of folks, like, just so we can get a taste of it, the listening audience, about some of the things you've done with people through this work.
I have somebody want to talk to you about myself a little bit. Have you, with belief system. So have you ever believed something so wholeheartedly, and I know it's true, and then sheepishly you find out that wasn't true. So one time I was watching, I walked into the living room, my son was watching this documentary on dragons. It was like a lot of years ago. So, I just, whatever. A lot of years ago, wasn't aware of the CGI. But anyway, halfway through this thing, I was just amazed to see how much information and evidence was there about dragons, and that they were real. And I'm like getting all excited, going, "Are you kidding me?" And my daughter walks through the living room. She goes, "Mom, did you read did you see the disclaimer at the beginning of the video?" And I'm like, no. So I was like, felt like a fool, but I really, I had this like fantastical imagination, and I really wanted to believe they were true. But on a serious note, we believe a lot of things throughout our life because they look so good, or because we're told to believe them. And doesn't that fit into your life? And if you only believe this, my life would be so much easier. So don't you want to believe this? Right. Kind of thing. And those beliefs we adopt, they don't serve us. Although I thought a dragon would serve me, but so they don't. Totally. So I don't, and we don't. When we believe something that doesn't serve us, we stop trusting ourselves. We stop trusting our intuition, and our sense of well-being kind of breaks in half, and which is sad. And I just very gently want to talk about how the news and the false news and the media and the politics are breaking people. They're really kind of pushing belief systems. It's a perfect example of that. So I worked with a young woman who not long ago was struggling with her ability to make decisions and stick to them. It's like she had great ideas, let's go for it, but she can't do it, done next. And she had a lot of dreams she wanted to pursue, and she had plenty of ability. She certainly could finish it. She reminded me of myself. She couldn't seem to settle in one direction due to she's just so anxious, high level of anxiety with each choice she tried to make. And as it turns out, she was highly critical of herself with a lot of fear of doing it wrong. And then we explored those inner voices of doing it wrong and what they were telling her about herself and how they were speaking to her. They weren't very nice to her. She began to sort out which voices were from her beliefs that weren't necessarily true and weren't serving her, from her own abilities, her own inner awareness. How could she instead listen to the loving voice of her intuition and her soul that would help her finish these projects or these ideas or follow through on stuff. So after working with me using the Akashic Journey tools, she said, I feel stronger about the decisions I make in my life. I'm not second guessing myself. I'm okay if I'm wrong. She felt confident in making new decisions because she knew how to plug into the source of her soul and kind of unplug from the inner critic. The inner critic was still there, but it's not as powerful.
Yeah.
So that's how that helped. And I see her doing some pretty amazing things now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, Nancy, just as a side note, do you think a lot of beliefs come from like what we're programmed to, what we grow up with, like family ancestral stuff, school, like, you know what I mean? Do you think that's a lot of it?
Yeah, it is. As a matter of fact, it's really interesting. And yes, it's from a lot about bonding patterns or what our parents have taught us, what they gave to us as kids so that we would all behave and not make them so crazy. And then we believed things about ourselves that were absolutely not true. And also from our society. I got to years ago the opportunity to travel to Thailand and some Asian countries for a couple of weeks. And I got kind of immersed, and the Asian people, the other side of the planet, live more from their heart. So they have a different structures of beliefs within them. And it was phenomenal to watch that. And that's what brought it home to me so much, how much our indoctrination in our society tells us what's right, what's wrong, how to live, how to not live. And so definitely it's a big mixed bag. What on where we get all of these different ideas from, and especially the ones that aren't serving us in schools, the whole thing.
I was just going to say, I did 12 years of Catholic school, and some of the beliefs there are a little different than what I believe now. Nothing wrong with what's being taught there. I don't mean that, but definitely, I had sort of one view. And then as I got out to college and society, I was like, oh, you're so used to being with most folks who are back when I went to Catholic school, everybody was Catholic, right? And then you get out to college and you get out in the world and you're like, wait a minute, there's differences here. And it sort of blows your mind a little bit.
It does.
So I think that's a lot of, again, these little pieces that all program us into.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So this work sort of, I keep thinking about peeling the layers of the onion. Like that's the thing I keep thinking about is like, we're just peeling back the layers. So
absolutely. Yeah. And this is we have a lot of, this work will help you really peel those layers and know exactly what you peeled off and what you're setting aside and what you're embracing at the core essence. So it's a beautiful example. Definitely. Yeah.
So Nancy, tell us all again how we can find you.
Well, you can find me on Facebook, Nancy of Angelscapes, or Angelscapes with Nancy Smith. You can find me on my website, angelscapes.net. Brand new website. It's a week old. So all kinds of new information. You can find me, Nancy at Angelscapes. Just send me an email and I'll set you up. You can also, where else can you get me? Facebook Messenger is a good way to get me.
Yeah. And I think that 15-minute free consultation into, about learning more about the Akashic Journey Intensive would be fabulous. People should take advantage of that. Absolutely. Yeah. Really quickly, if folks want to find me, I'm at marydalba.com. You can find me on Facebook as Mary Dalba. Very easy. You can email me on Messenger. That's fine. You can find me on Instagram, marydalba_medium. and Mary at marydalba.com. And you can find this show on boldbravemedia.com/Angelscapes. Next week, there's a medium coming on with us, Nancy.
Yes,
Here's Tom Flynn coming on with us.
Yeah, really excited about that. Tom is an amazing medium from England, the UK, and I work with him. He will, and we're going to talk about spirit art a little bit.
Awesome.
So he will. So we work as a team, and I can't wait for you to hear his stories. Very lovely, lovely man. Just you'll enjoy that.
Fabulous.
So.
Yeah, so we'll be on next week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time, everyone. We love to hear from you. Please let us know your thoughts. You can find the podcast, Angelscapes, on all your places to get podcasts, and we are also on YouTube. Look us up under Bold Brave Media and Angelscapes. So thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks, Nancy, for, being our guest tonight.
I know. Thanks, Mary, this was great.
Yes.
I love being interviewed. That's wonderful.
Super
Very
fun.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
Yes, of course. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you for listening.
This has been Angelscapes. Tune in each week as Nancy and Mary discuss ideas, tips, and lessons to help you receive divine love, joy, and soul power in your life. You can discover the powerful being you really are right here on Angelscapes with your hosts, Nancy and Mary.
You've been listening to the BBM Global Network. The ideas, views, and opinions of this broadcast are those of the participants of the program and are not necessarily the ideas, views, and opinions of the BBM Global Network Company.